Good evening. Welcome to the Church of the Redeemer. I'm David Ware, and I'm a member of the clergy team here, and I'm so happy to welcome you to this place, into this space for this evening. What you are taking part in is a series called Voices, which we gathered about 10 years ago. The Voices Speaker Series serves the whole community of Baltimore by inviting contemporary voices to challenge and inform us. Artists and authors, visionaries and thought leaders, advocates of change, courageous enough to hold the loveliness and sorrow of the world at once and find the wonder in both. It's my pleasure to introduce you to Mary Sue McCarthy, who's going to introduce you to our speaker. Before I say another word about Mary Sue, I do want to commend to you a couple of ancient practices which we will offer to you all when we're done here. We've set up a labyrinth in the parish hall if you're interested in walking the labyrinth, and if that's brand new to you, there'll be people there to introduce you to it. That'll be done in silence with candles around the labyrinth in the room that's just that way as you leave this room. And also, at the same time, we'll offer the service of Compline, which is the church's service of night-night prayers. So if you want to come and say your night-night prayers with a bunch of folks, I encourage that. Mary Sue grew up in this parish, attending the church. She's a licensed clinical professional counselor specializing in trauma and addiction recovery. She was introduced to nature-informed therapy by our speaker tonight, Heidi, and co-leads advanced therapist trainings with Heidi and serves on the board of the Center for Nature-Informed Therapy here in Towson. Mary Sue, welcome.
Thank you, David. On behalf of the Center for Nature-Informed Therapy, we so appreciate you including us in your really prestigious speaker series. This is a real compliment to us that everyone came here tonight. When Heidi asked me to introduce this, I obviously started thinking about what I was going to say, and I got to thinking about the church, and my family has a very long history here, and I do too, but this is how it went. First, I was baptized here, right about here. And then I was confirmed here, maybe about here. And then I went to Sunday school here. And then I went to youth fellowship here. And then I got married here. And then my grandparents' memorial service was here, as well as my father's. And I actually did speak a little bit there. But guess where I am tonight? It's like, wow! Will wonders never cease? So I feel a little closer to the spirit here. I'd like to recognize our board. If you could stand up and wave your hand, that would be very helpful. Thank you all. And any staff, therapists from the Center for Nature-Informed Therapy, could you stand up, please? I know you're here. Oh God, therapists are so shy. Come on, girls and men. Thank you very much. Philip McKnight, thank you for the music, and Maureen McCusker for the flute. Now we have an invitation for you. Probably something you think we're all us nature people are woo-woo and nuts. Well, we're really not. And we invite you now to turn to your neighbor and share the nature item that all my great volunteers asked you to take. And tell your neighbor, speak through your nature item. What would the nature item say about you? What Patty and Justin, you have your nature items? Okay. Just because you've been married 80 years doesn't matter. Shit. Can I go right next to Patty? Is it okay? Sounds okay? I know you'll have some. Will you tell me? Now make sure you switch so that each person gets a chance. Mom, you're just sitting there. Okay, thank you all very much. Thank you. Hello. Thank you for meeting your neighbors and sharing your nature item. Everybody's having too much fun. I can't miss it. Okay, I'm going to have to speak up. I'm sorry, I don't usually speak loudly. That's not true. Okay, thank you all very much. I hope that that just helped you get a little more in touch with our topic tonight. Before I introduce Heidi, we think it's important that you know a little bit more about us. People often ask us what exactly is nature-informed therapy. So I first want to start by saying that Heidi and her husband, Schreiber-Pan, founded the Center for Nature-Informed Therapy in 2020. And by 2025, they had finished the rigorous 501c3 process. And they are now a certified nonprofit. And the mission of CNIT is to integrate mental health and wellness support with the healing benefits of the connection to our natural world. To date, Heidi has trained more than 250 certified nature therapists worldwide. We offer mental health and well-being services connected to nature, and what that means is we take our clients outside, we remove ourselves from the dyad of traditional therapy, which is you sit in that chair, I'll sit in this chair, and we'll talk. And that certainly has its benefits. But Heidi's movement and expertise, if you will, is to encourage people to go outside with a trained therapist and look at the ways nature can support us. Think about what it's like when you see a sunset. Think about what it's like when you just sit on the beach. Think about what it's like when you grow your own flowers. Think about what it's like on a beautiful snowy evening. All of that resonates deeply with us, way, way back in time, because our way, way back ancestors didn't have air conditioning. They lived by the seasons. They ate, they slept by the seasons. The purpose of nature-informed therapy is to help us look at different ways of making it through life's challenges, life's transitions, grief and loss, and to inspire new ways of taking perspective on things and being able to be okay with ourselves but also with other. And the programs that Heidi has started with her therapists and her board are for everybody. They offer public programming, which we'll talk about in a minute, as well as training for all mental health therapists, as well as park rangers, nurses, anybody in the healing business. So just quickly, 4 examples of our work. This is a global initiative. Heidi was invited to travel to Ukraine. Actually, they went to Hungary because of the obvious heightened anxiety being felt in that country. She spent 5 days with 5 different interpreters. You think she's smart? She's smart. 5 different interpreters training the Ukrainian Park Service and mental health professionals on how to interact with the public who was seeking sanctuary, peace, and calm in the Ukrainian botanical gardens and parks. There was a tremendous need to provide a quiet and calming space. That is a global initiative we are very, very proud of. On the regional level, Patty Klein, who you'll be hearing from later, and did all that wonderful design and picked all those nature items. Patty Klein led a 3-day training at the Georgetown Hospital Department of Psychiatry 3 weeks ago, I think. The Department of Psychiatry in Georgetown reached out to Heidi and said, we need a different way to reach our clients. Anxiety in this country is very, very high, and we're feeling it through our clients. We want to get out of the traditional one-on-one. Can you come and teach our therapists that? And Patty did that with her team. Another local example. I was fortunate to work with Heidi on a traumatic loss and grief healing workshop. We worked together at Irvine Nature Center. 10 people that didn't know each other. And we've still been laughing about this. At the end of the day, we talk about the importance of play for adults. When was the last time you played? And play is very important to our mindset, laughing, our general spirits. We had 10 people jumping in the grass, rolling in the grass, doing handstands in the grass, climbing trees. I couldn't find a client. I was like, well, where is she? She was up in a tree, doing all the things that sustained them as children, that now, because we're so busy, we never even think of doing. And the last program we are very excited about is, again, our famous Patty Klein's program. It's a second-year program in partnership with Ladue Gardens, where Patty will be leading a 6-week Tuesday night program, working with nature as a co-therapist or co-support to help people looking for ways to find connection, calmness, and natural support. All right, now on to the moment we've been waiting for. Dr. Heidi Schreiber-Pan is the founder of the Chesapeake Mental Health in Maryland and the executive, no, not doing it that way. That's your bio. So a wise person once shared with me that to pick stars at night, simply place a basin of water in the courtyard, and you will have them at your feet. Heidi has an innate wisdom about her, an ability to bring the stars to our feet. She has opened our eyes of a different way of taking care of ourselves and other. Heidi, through her work, invites us to consider the person with a broken heart, perhaps finding comfort in watching the seasons change or the light change from dark to light. Heidi would say, consider the cardinal that lands outside your window as a natural sign, perhaps, of the loved one that is still with us. Heidi would say, consider the ancient rituals of burial, of even simple things like planting a tree in remembrance. Consider celebrating the seasons that we know always come around. Seasons bring us joy, moments of awe, stoking our curiosity, and literally expanding our horizons. Nature-informed therapy gives us the look and feel of something bigger than ourselves, helping us to shift perspective, possibly from the dark night or the brown to the green and the light. Yes, Heidi's a PhD. That's what's on that paper somewhere. She started studying in the area of grief and has extensive experience in grief work. She's published 2 books, and her 3rd book is coming out in April, and I forgot the name of it. What is it, Heidi?
The ground beneath our work.
So we can look for that in April. She's a published author. She's been featured in the Washington Post and the New York Times. No small feat. Heidi is bold and brave and daring to propose new pathways. We all know Freud would be rolling in his grave. Her work is based on scientific research about the healing qualities of the natural world. I have one fun story. She has no idea what I'm going to say, but I'm lucky that she trusts me. I had a bunch of people for dinner, and I worked really hard to set up the formal dining room, and we were about to sit down, and no one could find Heidi. I'm like, Heidi, are you going to come and sit down? No one could find Heidi. I thought she's playing with the cat. I had no idea where Heidi was. So I figured, well, okay, I'll go look in the sunroom. So I look in the sunroom, and I look out our sunroom window, and Heidi is sitting in an Adirondack chair having a conversation. I don't know who she's talking to. Who do you think she would be talking to in a backyard with a lot of Ruxton trees? A tree. Heidi was having a conversation with a tree. It's a 100-year-old dawn redwood that has no business in my backyard. But she connected with that tree in such a beautiful way, and now she has invited me to send her pictures of the tree at every season. We finally did get her to come and sit down at the table. I first met Heidi, I guess, maybe 10 years ago, and I watched and I listened. My practice was new, and I knew right away I wanted to attach my star to hers. Over the years, she has brought her stars to my feet with the care of others, her creativity, her steadfastness, and quite frankly, a wicked sense of humor. Heidi?
What an introduction. My goodness, thank you. All those titles and all of it, I'm just a girl that likes to play in the woods. And I'm here to tell you why that is. But I'm so glad to see all of you. I have a lot of stories that I want to tell you. So I have these notes to keep me in line because otherwise you're here till midnight. But I want to start with a story that I've never told before. And in order to do that, we have to take a trip back in time. We have to go back all the way to the year 1944. Anyone here alive during that time? Thank you. You're the wisdom keepers. So we go back to 1944. And here's a young mother with 3 children under the age of 6. And they are quickly moved into a train. They have no idea where the train is going to take them. All she knows is that there's nowhere to sit. There's nowhere where her children can lay down. And that train starts rolling, and it's one night, and then the next. And 2 days later, the train finally stops. And she gets out of the train with her 3 little children, and there's a group of the Red Cross, and they're there to help every one of these refugees find a place of shelter. That young woman, that was my grandmother. And the shelter they found was an old building left by the Forest Service. It had 1 room in it. And she brought her children into this 1 room, and she sighed with relief because there was shelter now, but there wasn't any food. We're in 1944, and there is destruction all around. And she has 3 children that she's the holder of hope for. And she doesn't know what to do because there is no food. There's a farm family that gives her some flour, but that's not enough. But she knows where there is food. It's in the forest. And so she takes these little kids into the forest, and she shows them where the mushrooms live. And one of those children becomes very good at finding those mushrooms. He's so good at finding these secret places where the mushrooms live that it's more than enough. It's more than they need. And so he's able to take this basket full of mushrooms and take it to the neighbors. And the neighbors give him in exchange other things. And once the neighbors have enough mushrooms, they tell him, go to the market. He becomes quite the star because he knows where those golden chanterelles are. And you know what happened? Is he learned that if he slowed down and he followed the cues of the forest, that he would know where there was food. And then when the mushrooms were gone, then the berries were there. So this boy, my father, had a relationship with the forest that saved his life. But he got scolded one day because he came home to his mother with a mushroom that had roots still attached to it. And my grandmother was not happy. She said, you don't kill what feeds you. You cut the mushroom at the base, but you leave the roots. So 1944, foraging, nature's healing, a war-torn country, my homeland of Germany. And think about this for a second, because yes, that's my story, that's my grandmother, and that's my father, but every single person sitting here today, this is also your story. This is your story too, because you also have ancestors that had to forage, that were hunting and that we're gathering not that long ago. And so when you think about this body that you have today and the stories that are stored in that body, it remembers what the environment was like when we were in the forest. So foraging or hunting, we are quiet. We have to slow down. We have to understand the cues of the forest. And we find these mushrooms. But what's the environment like now? So you have this body. Over millions of years, this body has learned to be in sync with the natural world. And today, it looks different. Maybe you wake up in the morning and maybe you check your phone to see if any big news happened overnight that you need to catch up on. And maybe you grab a cup of coffee, and while you're drinking your cup of coffee, maybe you're scrolling to see what is the news or if there were any unanswered emails you need to attend to. And maybe then you drive to work, and then you're in an office building setting where you're on your laptop, where you are attending to technology that is making you move at the speed of light, when your body knows how to move only at the speed of light. And so we are currently in a mismatch with our body and with modern environment. So when we think about what our day looks like, we're inside a building. In fact, statistics tells us 93% of our time is spent indoors. And that includes, so when you're commuting, that is still considered indoors. So 93% of your day is spent inside. When you have a body that evolved outdoors. We are struggling. As Mary Sue said, we have numbers of anxiety that we've never seen before. Your nervous system is confused. It doesn't know what's going on. It knows that you attending to the news, that is not how you were built. Your ancestry is designed to care for the village, not for global crises one after the next. And when we're consuming that kind of information, that the world is on fire in every corner of this globe, it activates that survival instinct, and your body is feeling unsafe. Although in this moment, you might be okay. So we're talking about a mismatch of what is happening. I want to repeat this sentence because I think it really helps us recognize the conundrum we're in. We are designed to live at the speed of life, but modern day living demands moving at the speed of light. So what is rewilding? Is rewilding to go back to time like my dad when he had to find mushrooms to survive? That is not what rewilding is. It's not going back in time. Rewilding is going back into balance. Because we are not balanced. We are not balanced. So I want to tell you a little bit about the sense of belonging that happens when we are in a natural environment. If it is sitting by the ocean, or we're walking in a forest, or we're gardening, or we're using the herbs that we grew to add to our meals. When we are connecting with the natural world, Some of us would say, I feel calmer. I feel more at peace. Some people would even say, it feels like a homecoming. It feels right. So if we're thinking about this idea of the way home through nature, then we also have to think about, what does belonging mean? What does belonging mean? Okay, so here's me, right? I decide that, all right, I'm already super connected to nature, but can I do better? So I asked myself, what's the next level of nature connectedness for you? And the answer was, well, you should go camping solo. Go by yourself. Be just between you and nature. So I decide I'm totally doing this, right? So I pack up my tent, and I'm doing this all by myself. I'm pitching my tent, and all is well in paradise until the sun sets. And then the noises start. And they were so loud, and they all were like threatening. I really thought something's going to get me anytime. And so I decided to do what we humans have been doing for thousands of years when the night is too scary and too long. We build a fire. So I built a fire, and I had this beautiful fire going, and I was very proud of myself, feeling like a real badass that I just did this fire. And had this beautiful circle glowing, and everything that was behind it, I was not going to be afraid any longer. And the fear did go down, okay? But there was another emotion that was there, even stronger now. And that emotion was loneliness. I wanted to share this with someone. I was so proud of my fire, and there was no one to share it with. And I felt lonely. I was here at night all by myself. And then I see this movement, a little movement that is moving towards me, and it's in the grass. And it's like this grass blades are moving apart. And I am mesmerized by this. I know it's not big, because otherwise I'd be really afraid. But there was something was coming towards me. And I look, and before you know it, I kid you not, it's all true, you guys. There is this green tree frog that sits itself right on one of the rocks that was around the fire pit. And it sits there, places itself on the stone, and starts looking at the fire. And here is me and this frog. And we're staring at the flame like caveman TV is for real. I mean, we were just staring together, me and this frog. So I was so curious. I would go close up to it, and it didn't hop away. It stayed. So it allowed me to get closer, which was amazing. And so we were just sitting there the whole evening. This frog stayed there, okay? The whole evening. So I got tired and decided it's time to go to bed. So I put another log on the fire for my friend, okay? And then I went to bed, and I tucked in, and I realized something. I wasn't lonely anymore. I wasn't lonely anymore. This was my sight, and I wasn't lonely anymore because belonging doesn't mean that it has to be connection between two humans. Belonging is more than that. It is a kinship with the more than natural, with the more than human world. That frog took away my loneliness. And we were two human beings that both have a heartbeat. I have a heartbeat, the frog, we both have lungs. We both sat there and stared at the flames. So we have a loneliness epidemic. People are reporting loneliness at ages we've never heard before. So the whole social media piece that we humans invented because we wanted to be connected to others, see me, like me, do you see this photo, like me, I got 100 likes, but it doesn't serve connectedness. Well, what my invitation for you is to think, what if the answer to loneliness doesn't come by connecting us more and more and more to other humans? What if this is the first time in human development that we are estranged from other species? Our ancestors spent a lot of time with other species. We had to, for survival reasons. We had to know where other animals were. But now, who do we spend most of our time with? Other humans. And as fun as you guys are, sometimes a non-human can be better. So, thinking about belonging as more than the human world, but belonging also means we humans connecting. So, I want to tell you the story. So, the Center for Nature and Front Therapy, once a year, we take 10 people backpacking. Usually, these are people that have never done this before. And we help them with all the gear, and we get in a circle, and everyone names their fears before we hit the trail. And we're out there for a good week. We go up to West Virginia for this. And so the last time we did this, we had this group of people. They did not know each other. And we drove from the Baltimore airport all the way to the Dolly Suds in West Virginia. And I'm trying my best to get them to have, connection and communicate. And it's kind of quiet, and I'm trying to get them to talk, and they're really not, probably afraid about what's going to happen. Well, we start hiking. And, when we're talking about belonging in nature, something interesting happened with backpacking. Because you know what happens backpacking? You become a tribe member. We need everyone to help out. We need someone to build the fire. We need someone to get the water. We need someone to set up the tent. We need someone to start preparing the food. And it gives people a sense of purpose, a sense of I'm needed here. I belong here. And what's so interesting? This show Alone is a show where they drop wilderness survival experts off in a remote place on this planet, and we all are watching to see how long are they going to survive. Spoiler alert, they're not doing very good. Because that is not the human superpower. Survival skills alone in nature, that is not our superpower. Our superpower is, and the reason the Homo sapien eventually overtook the Neanderthal is because the Homo sapien knew how to coordinate and work together. It was about community and connection. That's our superpower. And that is what we're missing in modern day environments. That's what we're longing for. So this picture shows this group of people being tribal members with each other and becoming a family in the backcountry. But you know what else happens in the backcountry? What I love about West Virginia in that area is no cell phone reception. And so what we do for 5 days is we pay attention. We pay attention to each other, and we pay attention to the nature around us. So attention, if you think about attention as a form of love, when we think about money being a great resource, that is actually not your greatest resource or your greatest gift. Actually, your greatest gift you can give someone is your attention. Everything wants your attention. Everything wants your attention. The media, the ads, the people, the friends, the work environment, everybody wants your attention. It turns out your attention is finite. We can only give so much attention. And who you give attention to, that is who you love. So as we see here, Mary Oliver says, I don't know what prayer is, but I do know how to pay attention. I know how to fall in the grass. So attention is what we give each other out there in the backcountry, but it doesn't just have to be in the backcountry. So I want to tell you about something that happens when you start paying attention. All right, so there's this thing called sit spot. At SIT, sit spot is an invitation to give your undivided attention to the natural world for just 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes. As a form of love, as a form of thank you for providing everything I have and eat and everything, my shelter. I'm just going to give you the gift of attention. So sit spot. So I learn about this and I decide, okay, this is it. I'm doing this. I'm doing this for 10 days straight. I am committed. So I have a lot to do, as you can imagine. So I'm thinking these 10 minutes are going to be super long. So I go out there, right in my backyard. Just this little tree fell over. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit here for 10 minutes. And I'm going to be checking the watch because 10 minutes is really long. So I sit there. And the invitation with Sit Spot is that really all you do, this sounds so simple, but it's hard for our mind because our mind always wants to do other things. It's just watch nature. Just for 10 minutes. Just see what you can see. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be really long. And then all of a sudden, I notice something. There's an ant that is moving up this log, okay? And I'm just decided to watch it. So I'm looking at this ant, and would you know that this ant is carrying something 3 times the size of its own body? And I'm like, I just can't believe it. I'm like, how are you doing this? And it's struggling. It's not easy for this ant to do this. It's struggling. So it's moving, and then it's like pausing, okay? And it moves the item off, and then it just sort of pauses. And then it takes it back, and it keeps moving. And I can't believe it because it is seemingly at the end and is completely exhausted. There are 2 other ants coming up this log, picking up this item, and moving it along as teamwork would do. I look at the watch. 30 minutes had gone by. And all because nature was teaching me something. But it started with attention. It started with attention. And then when we think about what attention often leads to, it leads to gratitude. So in my case, I was really grateful that I was there to see an ordinary, extraordinary miracle. Because they're happening, guys, all around us. But we're so caught up in the day-to-day that we're missing these things. This extraordinary miracle. And I was grateful that I witnessed it. And it made me think about Thoreau, who once said, what if that's all we're meant to do? What if we're just here supposed to witness the beauty of nature? What if that is our calling? So I felt grateful. And then something happened. I thought about the ant traps that I recently put out in my kitchen. And I was just wondering about if I could be a better advocate for these amazing animals. So gratitude started leading into advocacy. And then advocacy often leads into personhood, which is that we start extending to nature and seeing nature as kin. Not as resource, but as kin. As me, as family. And so my invitation for us is to think about how attention can lead us to give the gift to nature, to give the gift of nature. All right, so I want to tell you a little bit about this chickadee bird. This chickadee bird has an amazing skill. It will collect thousands of seeds in autumn, and then it will start hiding them everywhere, in the little nooks and crannies that are in nature. And then when winter comes, as we had a good one this year, this chickadee bird will remember every single hiding place. It is so good at that its hippocampus, the part of the brain that processes memory, starts growing in the winter so that it can actually find all the pieces that it has hidden all around. I believe that nature is the greatest teacher. If we turn to nature, we will learn the lessons we need to learn. This chickadee bird is teaching us something. It teaches us that we also, just like this chickadee bird, has memory of where things are that sustain us. You also know what sustains you. Rewilding is about remembering. You share over 50% of your DNA with a tree. You share 0 DNA with your laptop. Who do you spend more time with? We are forgetting who we are. And rewilding is about remembering. Remember who you are. Think about the things you love. If I ask you right now to share 15 things with me that you love, and I've done this exercise with many people, and in the beginning people say, I love my family, I love my house, I love coffee in the morning, and once they start going on, and they get the big ones out of the way, they say things like seeing a sunset, gardening, growing an herb, going to the ocean, putting my feet in the sand. When you remember what you love, you remember who you are. Rewilding is about remembering. It's about remembering. So that little boy that was so good at picking mushrooms, that little boy now is an older man that has dementia. He does not remember where he is. He doesn't remember names. But when you take him to the forest, his body remembers. He will pick a mushroom, and he always picks the right ones. But because he's now unsure, he'll ask my sister, is this a good one? And my sister will say, yep, you got it right, Papa. It's a good one. And so what I want us to think about, as my dad can no longer remember names, I want us to think about how long after memory fades, what we have loved in nature will love you back. And it will live on in you as long as that body walks on this earth. Thank you, everyone.
Before we finish up, we would like Philip to come up and do a little song with everyone who you heard earlier. He's wonderful. Oh, and I'm Patty Klein. Sorry.
Good evening, everybody. I'm going to share Tom Petty's Wildflowers song with you. Would invite you to sing along, and if you say that you can't sing, you can always talk. of the words. And the chorus is, you belong among the wildflowers. You belong in a boat out at sea. You belong among the wildflowers. You belong somewhere you feel free. So I invite you to sing along. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you very much. And Philip just came out with an album, is that correct? Yes. Yes, so we'll have to spread the word for that. Wynn, thank you so much, Heidi, for talking tonight. Thank all of you all for coming. It's just wonderful to have a great turnout. As I quickly said before, I'm Patty Klein. I'm thrilled to have gotten to know Heidi and work with Heidi. I was lucky enough to get a second bite at the Career Apple, and it has just been awesome being a part of the Center for Nature-Informed Therapy and working with individuals and training, and it's just an incredible organization to be a part of. So we have little cards for you all on the way out. Grab them and click on the QR code and learn a little bit more about us. We're growing not-for-profit, and we're always looking for support, and we've got really great things ahead. So thank you guys for coming. I do believe we're having a Q&A, is that correct? If anyone has any questions, you will need the mic. So Don't be shy. Oh, here.
Thank you very much. You're very inspiring, all of you. How do you bring your ministry outside of the demographic that's represented here, but to other communities that aren't represented here?